Is Scrum the right framework for me? This is a common question I get even when teaching my certified Scrum classes. Hi, I'm Joel Bancroft-Connors, the Guerrilla Coach, helping you deliver more sustainable value through the use of Agile and Scrum. To answer, is Scrum right for you? Let's examine it through the lens of the Cynefin Sense-Making Framework. The Cynefin Framework helps us to understand our challenges and to make decisions based in context. It recognizes that our actions, which includes the frameworks and processes we use, need to match the reality that we're facing. Let's go ahead and head over to the Guerrilla Learning Center. We're going to look at a series of problems and understand what those kind of problems are, and then what are the right frameworks that are going to be the best for solving those problems. Let's start with the first simple problem. The gas empty light is on. We're driving down the road, the light comes on, we know that we're running out of fuel. Wow, that's pretty much a very, very clear and well understood problem, and there is a best practice around this. I don't think there's very many people that are going to argue that the best practice is you go to a gas station and you fill up your gas tank. What we're dealing with here is we're dealing with the sensing, categorizing, and responding. We sense what the problem is. The gas empty light is on. We categorize what this problem is. We're running out of fuel. The car's going to stop going down the road, and we respond. Let's go solve this problem. The best solution is to go fill up the gas tank. In the world of work, this is kind of the place of the task worker. There's a very clear problem. There's a very clear best practice on how to solve it. Go solve that problem. Let's move up into a little bit more of a complicated problem. The car won't start. I turn the key, nothing happens. Hey, I know I've got gas. I just filled the gas tank. What happens now? We are now in a more realm of complicated problem, and here solutions are usually good practices. How do I solve this problem? What are the good practices to try and figure out why my car won't start? This is also where we start to move into the realm of subject matter experts. I'm going to take this to my mechanic. My mechanic is going to sense, analyze, respond. Sense the problem. We turn the ignition, nothing happens. They're going to analyze. They're going to run diagnostic tests. They're going to plug this into the computer. They're going to run tests. They're going to see what happens. They're going to go through a number of good practices to determine what the problem is. Once they know what the problem is, the solution is usually pretty straightforward. Hey, your alternator is out. You need to replace your alternator. That's the solution. Let's start moving over, and we're going to move into more complex problems. Designing a new car. Designing a new car is clearly a complex problem. We don't know what the car is going to look like when we're done. We probably don't even know exactly how we're going to get there. So we are now in the realm of emergent practices. What are we going to do? How are we going to get there? This is also the realm where we start to move into many subject matter experts. In today's world, you can't design a car all by yourself. It takes a group of experts, a cross-functional team, in order to design a new car. And here we move into the probe, sense, respond. We're going to probe what the problem is, we're going to sense the results, and then we're going to respond. This is not unlike the scientific method. I have a hypothesis. I'm going to run an experiment. I'm going to see what the results are. Then I'm going to inspect and adapt from there. All right. Now, maybe things are getting a little crazy. My car is crashing. I'm driving down the road. It starts to spin out of control. I'm going to try and figure out how to solve that problem. At this point, you know what? We're definitely in the realm of chaos, and we're going to just try whatever works. Novel practices. Hey, I'm spinning to the right. Let me try turning the wheel to the left. Does that solve the problem? Yes or no? Did I take my foot off the gas? Is that helping the problem? Yes or no? What we are doing here is we are acting, we are sensing, and then we are responding. We act, turn the wheel, we sense what happened, and then we respond based on that, and we try it again. Now, chaos is not always a bad thing. Crash testing. We purposely crash cars to see what will happen so we can see how to make cars better. Netflix has something called the Chaos Monkey, which literally runs around its production environments and crashes servers so they can see what their disaster and their emergency responses are to these things. So chaotic can be a good place to be if entered knowingly. All right, we understand the different kinds of problems: clear, complicated, complex, chaotic. what are the frameworks that are going to help us to solve this? Down in Clear, there's really not a lot in the way of structured framework. Instead, we have checklists, checklist type work or automation. You're working in a fast food restaurant. There is one way and only one way to make that burger. You follow the checklist to make that burger. As you start to move into technology and into knowledge work environments, you might start to see this being the realm of automation. How do we automate the deployment pipeline so that it happens automatically whenever we submit code? Complicated is the realm of Kanban. We have subject matter experts. We have problems that come in. They can analyze the problems. They can figure out what the resolution is, and then they can solve them. This is a great place to implement Kanban as a framework for your use. When you know what the solutions are, you just need to figure out what the problem is so that you can provide that known solution. Then we come over to complex, and this is the realm of Scrum. The Scrum Guide itself says it's about generating value through adaptive solutions to complex problems. Adaptive solutions, a lot like emergent practices, and it's complex problems. A complex problem is, I don't know what it's going to look like when we're done. I don't know how I'm going to get from point A to point B, or I don't know what it's going to look like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And this is the realm where Scrum excels because it helps you to do those transparency, inspection, adaptation loops. Let's try an experiment. Let's do a 2-week sprint. Let's see what the results are. Okay, great. Based on those results, what do we need to inspect and tune in order to make it to our desired goal? The realm of chaos does exist and has structured processes around it. Think of them as like triage response. An emergency room is an incredibly great example of purposeful chaos. People come into the emergency room, we act, we sense, we respond. The first thing we do is we make sure that we're protecting their lives, we're stabilizing them, then we sense what is the problem, we triage the problem, and then we respond based on what we have discovered. And based on that, we then quite often will move this up into a complex or complicated or even clear area. If somebody comes in and they need stitches, that's a complicated problem. We know exactly what it is, let's get them stitches. They're coming in, they're not responding, we don't know what's going on, let's go and probe. Let's go do a CAT scan to see if what's going on with their brain activity and such. That is triage response. In the realm of technology, in the realm of knowledge workers, this is also the kind of place where we have customer support and bugs. A bug comes in. First thing we do is we try and get the customer so that they are able to operate. Then we try and figure out what the problem is, and then we try and solve it. And based on what that problem is, it might become a complex problem or a complicated problem or even a clear problem. Hey, look, we forgot to enable this feature flag. Let's go turn that feature flag on. So that's the realm of chaos. Lastly, let's look at something called Scrumban. Scrumban is not a formal framework. It is an amalgam of Scrum and Kanban, and there are different flavors of Scrumban. Scrumban fits here in between complicated and complex. If you are working with a team that has both complex and complicated work, you might want to think about potentially having some manner of Scrumban layered into your team. For example, you have a Scrum team that is building a brand new product. They really need that complex structure. However, maybe they're still supporting a legacy product and they get bugs they have to deal with. Having some structure in it to be able to allow for bugs to interrupt the sprint without breaking the sprint goal is going to be useful. So consider Scrumban if you have a mix of complex and complicated work. I hope this video has helped to answer the question on whether or not the Scrum framework is the right framework for you to solve the problems you're facing today. If you have any questions, please post them down in the comments below. I promise I will get back to them. You can also post requests for me to tackle any problem or challenge you are facing in a future video. While you're down there, I would really like it if you hit the like button. You can also hit the subscribe button over here to follow me on future videos, and you can hit this button over here if you want to watch a video on why hire a Scrum Master. I'm Joel Bancroft-Connors, the Guerrilla Coach. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.